It's the same carnage. Today I saw the same thing I saw all those years ago. There was a house that had been destroyed. Underneath the rubble was a mother and her child. The mother scrambled out after regaining consciousness, but the child was trapped. The mother frantically tried to pull her dearest one out. The child screamed for her mother to help her, to free her. The mother smelled something, and looking up, she saw the burning embers rise like a snake in the desert. Tall, twinkling, bright flames were crossing the broken house. She again tried to lift the beams that trapped her daughter. She looked between them to try and see her daughter's face, but on first looking she could not. The child started to scream that she was getting hot, finding it hard to breathe. "Mother, mother, it's hot in here. I can't breathe. Help me, please. Get me out of here, mother. Where are you? It's hot." The child screamed, but the mother could not remove the debris. The flames got closer and amongst the mother. She peered once more between the beams, and this time caught a glimpse, two soft shining eyes looking outwards, but the eyes were not in the mother's gaze. Before they realigned, the mother darted her head away, fearing that the child should see her. The child scrambled and cried out loudly once more. The mother felt the heat from the flames and moved back sheepishly. Then she scrambled into a ball and sobbed as the pangs of guilt took over her, leaving her child to save herself from the flames. Then she heard the coughing noise of her loved one, her only one, crying and screaming and asking for her mother. Her final words came. "Mother, it's burning me. It's burning me." "Yeah, thanks for that," said the man holding the boom mic. Then he turned to his cameraman and said, "Cut that bit." Then they filmed certain people in parts of the city. I approached the man who was holding the boom mic and asked him what he was doing. "Capturing history, friend. The world's got to see what's happening, ain't it?" he said. "To whom are you broadcasting this?" "The highest bidder." "What were you whispering to your cameraman back there?" "Oh, well, some of the things the people said, they were no good, so I was reminding him which bits we needed and which could go on the cutting room floor, as it were." "Isn't it your duty to show the truth?" The two of them both looked at me with serious expressions. "My friend," he said, "I hope that you are not suggesting we, two fine journalists, will be doing anything other than covering the truth. This is our duty." "But you are selecting what is heard. You are creating the image with words and pictures based on your own viewpoint. You will find, if you ask anyone, ask Fred here, he will confirm I am a very objective type of person. The truth I see is the truth you see." "No, I don't," I said flippantly. "I saw how you filmed the women and the children, but not any of the men. That you picked the children that were most hurt, that you spoke to more children than older people. Are you in the media?" "No," I returned. "Then what do you know? Let us do our job. The people back home will be waiting for these images before their tea." He then turned to the camera and did his piece, in a much better accent than one was led to believe. "As you can see, the situation here is severe. The children have been abandoned, left to cope on their own. The children whose name no one knows suffered severe injuries. She perhaps has hours to live. The city devastated beyond recognition. One wonders the horrors that these eyes have been left alone to see." I was about to add some more, when I noticed that the camera had no tape inside. It was then I realized that these two were quite mad, that this might have been their job before the disaster, and that they were continuing it in its pointless way. So I no longer haggled them, as there was simply no point to it. At this point, a loud explosion roared through the sky. The two journalists ran as quickly as they could. I followed them and was led to the embankment. In the distance, in the middle of the sea, was a ferry. I asked the cameraman what was going on. He told me that the ferry was on fire. They could see people on board, There was a sign saying, "Help us." But he also said that he noticed that some of them were badly disfigured. Another roar of thunder was heard, this time much louder. I turned to see a cannon with smoke billowing out of it. I rushed over to the operator. "What the hell are you doing? They need our help." "They're deceased. You want us all to die like them?" the operator said. As he did so, I heard the familiar voice of the leader. "Would you rather I let them dock here and affect us all?" he said. "But we're all ready. But all of us already are affected." "Says who?" "Harkin." "Well, we don't look like them, do we?" Harkin said the radiation reacts differently on different people, and maybe not all of them are infected. "I will not take the risk. I have enough people here. There is no need to overburden myself with what might or might not be a risk." But it was no use. Whatever I said, he was not going to change his mind. And in our ensuing argument, it had all become quite academic, as the ferry was no more. In the waves, I could see people swimming from the sunken ferry. Some were burning alive as they did so from the flames. Others were shot at by the leader's men with their machine guns, firing hundreds of bullets, splashing in the waves and the guts of those poor survivors. I could take this no longer and walked away, leaving this carnage behind me. How could these people see life in such a way, to only think of themselves, to know what lengths we had all suffered, and yet no compassion for fellow human beings? I started to wonder, what if chance was given, these people would build society into, whether we would ascend rather than ascend into the future. But this thought was short-lived, as at that very moment a rumble noise boomed. The floor began to shake. I fell to my knees, my hands on the floor. I could feel the very earth beneath me, rumbling, shaking, throbbing. It was an eerie sensation. With that, I bolted upright and began to run as fast as I could. As I did so, I heard the familiar noise of screams. I heard windows breaking, bricks falling and breaking to the ground. I continued to run as the soil below rippled. I got close to the edge of the city of which I had entered, and looked back only once to see the earth of which I had once stood near the embankment roll up, literally rolled up, and came down upon itself with a mighty crash. Then from the earth came a fiery liquid, lava. These were the scenes of pure hell. I saw bodies being hurled into the air and landing with a fizz in the hot lava. One of them was the cameraman, who continued to film what was happening on his empty machine. The earth again pounded, and up it rolled. But this time it did not come back on itself. It continued to roll and was heading straight towards me. Then I saw Eugene running towards me. He had nearly reached me when a scream came out. It called for help. I'm not sure to whom the voice belonged, but it might have been the leader. There was a group of people. One had got his leg trapped in a piece of earth that had opened up. The other tried to pull him out. Eugene turned around and ran back towards them. As the earth continued to roll its way towards us and was picking up speed, behind where the earth used to be was a river of hot lava, splashing and burbling. Then in an instant it was behind Eugene and the group. In a moment which seemed to last forever, I caught, maybe purposely for my attention, Eugene's eyes. They stared before me. They seemed vacant, but resound, as if he was happy with the choice he had made. There was no anger or sadness as such. Then that second was over, and the land rolled over them all. I had no more time to look at this carnage. I ran ever quicker as I heard the trembling roars of the earth gone mad behind me. There in front was the red bus I'd left when Harkin and I had arrived here. I sped to it, jumped in and started the engine first time, and was off as fast as I could. I didn't look around again at what I had left, but after a while the noise ceased, and I can only imagine that the howl that had been unleashed on that tiny city where all this had begun was now over.